NBA Youngboy. It's been a long time since we talked about NBA Youngboy on this channel, but the Youngboy is back at it again. And of course, by back at it again, I mean he's back in jail again. And honestly, it shouldn't be too shocking. I mean, I'm sure most of us could probably see this coming based on his behavior over the last couple of years. And while most of us probably aren't surprised that he's back in this situation, you would have had to be Nostradamus in order to know what would have got him back in this situation. Because to be real, it's not looking good for NBA Youngboy right now. He is not in a good place, mostly because he was just arrested on a slew of charges, 63 of them, including identity theft. And that's while he was on house arrest in Utah, pending trial for charges that he caught all the way back in September of 2020. Now, he was picked up on federal firearms charges then after him and a bunch of his accomplices were seen shooting a music video outside of a school area with apparently like the biggest guns you can imagine. Like the only thing that they didn't have on them at this music video shoot was a fucking rocket launcher and a tank. Now, Youngboy wasn't allowed to have any type of weaponry on or near him at the time because he's a convicted felon and he had been charged with aggravated assault back in 2017, meaning that because he was a convicted felon, he didn't have the right to bear a firearm.
The drama surrounding Baton Rouge native rapper NBA Youngboy continues. The rapper was arrested around 4:30 Tuesday morning on multiple drug charges.
There is a lot of drama surrounding him and the guys that he associates with. We believe that some of those guys have been involved in criminal activity here in Baton Rouge.
The rapper was one of 16 arrested at the scene.
3 of them, I believe, were convicted felons. So if they didn't have weapons in their possession, they were around weapons.
According to BRPD, they all attempted to run upon their arrival.
Now, during this arrest back in September of 2020, basically there was about 16 people that were arrested on these guns and drug charges, with Youngboy being one of them. But he ended up getting kind of a major break because most of the people that were arrested with him started copping pleas for the charges, basically taking the charges for the guns and stuff. And because Youngboy wasn't found in possession of a weapon at the time, this kind of made his case a little more favorable to the judge. So the judge was more favorable to him, showing a little bit of leniency, especially because part of the reason that he was arrested for possession of a firearm is because they were shooting a music video at the time and the videographer had taken video of Youngboy allegedly holding these weapons and he had that on the SD card inside the camera. Well, when the police pulled up to search everybody, which they had a legal right to do because most of them were felons, Youngboy was a felon before, so they had the right to search him. They didn't have the right to search the videographer's camera and SD card. And basically because they didn't catch him with the weapon, their biggest piece of evidence in this case was this video on this SD card that allegedly showed Youngboy in possession of a firearm. However, when they were going to court, the judge basically ruled that the police had used a warrant that was invalid in order to obtain the media from the SD card. And basically the judge said that suppression of the SD card media is appropriate because the warrant was invalid on its face and the warrant is not saved by the good faith exception to the exclusionary rule. The warrant was also rendered invalid after the fact because Corporal Barnett recklessly included material that was misleading inside of the request for the warrant. So basically, when you're arrested on federal charges like this, 2 things can happen to you. One is you're going to be detained and held until trial, or 2 is you're going to be released until trial, right? Well, given the evidence and the misconduct of Corporal Barnett, and all of these things put together, the judge decided that it was best not to hold Youngboy in a facility, but instead to let him be on house arrest while he was pending trial. Now, this came after his attorneys filed a bunch of paperwork saying that if the judge allowed him to be on house arrest, he would hire a security team to watch over him. He said that he would leave Baton Rouge because remember, this arrest happened in Baton Rouge. Well, he told the judge that he would leave Baton Rouge and go live in Utah. And basically the judge was like, okay, I'm going to overrule your detention. You don't have to continue to be locked up. You can go do your thing on house arrest in Utah.
What's good, brother? Good, bro. Can I say hi to you while you're on the horse? I just don't want to get kicked. May I pet the horse? She cool. Hey. You know I'm an animal lover, man, so... Hey, man, it's good to finally meet you, bro. I appreciate you having me out here, bro. That means a lot to me, man. So. I appreciate you for coming. For sure. It's beautiful out here, man.
Welcome to Grave Digging Mountain.
Great. You know, I tried to find a Gravedigger monster truck toy for you as
A dad rig and a tail rig.
She looks great, bro.
Yeah, we kind of just got in regular, whatever.
Utah.
It's my daughter.
I love it, man.
It's my second child that I'm only on child support for.
Yeah, bro. So this motherfucker is in the mountains of Utah pulling up on people on horseback and shit. And basically he got it made, right? Like he got all these charges. He got released. He get to go live in this beautiful setting where he get to continue to make music. He's riding horses and all this stuff. And for the average person, that would have really been enough. Like, I'm cool right here until my trial is done. But his case wasn't over. He was still pending trial, right? And the reason why he hasn't had trial is pretty simple. He was arrested on felony federal firearm charges, right? Well, his trial has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, like it was supposed to happen in July. But his attorneys have filed an appeal for them to wait on a Supreme Court ruling regarding the law that says felons can't be in possession of a firearm. In other words, NBA Youngboy's legal team doesn't want to go to trial on these federal firearm charges until the Supreme Court rules on the case that they're working on, which could dictate if felons are allowed to have a firearm or not. Because right now, the only reason he was committing a crime is because, remember, he's a felon who was around firearms or in possession of it. And if the Supreme Court rules that felons can now have firearms, well, then he isn't in violation of any laws. Well, I mean, he would have still been in violation of the law when it was there. But if the law changes, then as of right at that moment, he wouldn't be in violation of that law, if that makes sense to y'all. So they've been pushing the trial back repeatedly, waiting on that decision from the Supreme Court, which makes a lot of sense. But until that happens, he's still on house arrest and he still has hella conditions that he has to follow for him to be on house arrest, which he's been on, by the way, for about 3 years now. But even though he's up there in the mountains riding horseback and all this stuff, it ain't like everything been easy for Youngboy, because if you've been watching, he's clearly been on kind of a mental decline over the last year or so. And he's really been acting out. He's had several public back and forths with ops and rappers. He's threatened to shoot people during his house arrest time. But all of that could be looked at as entertainment purposes only. But that's not all that he's been doing. He's also been doing stuff that isn't for entertainment purposes. For example, like posting pictures like this right here publicly for everybody to be able to see. And then he posted like things like this right here on his cat's Instagram account, because his cat has an Instagram account. But he posted this and it says, "I've been seeing a lot of my dad so unhealthy, it's scary. Even his mental, he blows money making people smile who don't care to see the signs that's literally in front of their face. 20 Xanax a day, please help," which is crazy. I mean, bro is literally saying that he's taking 20 Xanax a day and then hashtagging help in the post. Like, it wasn't looking good for him. So his attorney filed paperwork with the courts saying that Youngboy was suffering from anxiety, depression, weight loss, all of these things, and basically said that Youngboy would need to be able to have access to some kind of treatment for at least his mental health. And the judge approved that, although in that the judge said that he couldn't allow for him to leave to do more studio time outside of his house, but if he needed mental health treatment, he could get it. But then in the same breath, when Youngboy was asked by his supervising officer, you know, like the probation officer that was over his house arrest, he told the probation officer that he had no intentions of stopping his drug usage, which basically led prosecutors to ask a federal judge to set a hearing to deal with his non-compliant behavior. And this was about 2 months ago at the end of February 2024. And that's literally like the last thing anybody's heard about Youngboy until the other day when the feds decided that they was going to kick the door in and arrest him again.
Hey, Brian Schnee, KUTV2 News. NBA Youngboy, known as Kentrell Galden, who has been under house arrest here in Utah and Weber County, pending federal trial. He was actually arrested here in Utah by the Cache County Sheriff's Office yesterday, suspected of running a large-scale prescription fraud ring. He's been charged with 63 counts, among them a slew of felony charges. The prescription of choice here, promethazine with codeine. It's a cough syrup described as a heavily abused Schedule 5 controlled substance. Police have been investigating this dating back to September of 2023. Someone would call in a prescription, call it in under a fake name or a physician who didn't authorize it. They would try to go pick it up then. At one point, one of the people working for Youngboy actually drove to pick up a prescription in his Chevy Tahoe that you can see in some of the music videos. He denied involvement in the ring when he was arrested, and law enforcement searched his home. They found prescriptions matching some of those fake names. He's in jail without bail.
Now look, some of these charges that Youngboy is charged with are serious crimes. A few of the top ones that he was charged with was a pattern of unlawful activity, procuring or attempting to procure drug prescriptions, identity fraud, forgery, possession of other controlled substances, possession of a dangerous weapon by a restricted person. I mean, they hit this boy with the book. In total, he's looking at about 63 total charges according to the arrest affidavit, which also says that this whole thing could basically be classified as a widespread prescription drug ring, which is crazy because either Youngboy is out here getting enough drugs to supply the city or taking enough drugs to kill a horse, one of the two. But basically the arrest affidavit says that what was happening was people were calling in fraudulent prescriptions using real doctors' names but fake patient info, and then they would show up and pick them prescriptions up. Now, an interesting allegation that was made in this whole thing is basically prosecutors say that once Youngboy found out that this investigation was taking place, somebody called in to law enforcement acting like they were an old woman named Gwendolyn Cox, requesting to speak to a deputy but didn't really want to provide any information to the deputy. The arrest affidavit says that Gwendolyn sounded as though she was a much younger male from the southern states. Gwendolyn made a statement, "Well, I asked her and she said that she'll have you call me." This statement was a response to a request that was made to have Gwendolyn contact dispatch and have them transfer her call back through. I've lived in the southern United States. The terminology in replacing the word ask with ax or other variations is consistent with the southern dialect in states like Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, and other southern states. That's what the affidavit said. Now, apparently this all came to a head after multiple people were arrested after Youngboy's car was used to pick up one of these fraudulent prescriptions. In the car, they found marijuana, a gun, and a bunch of other stuff, and that's what led to the arrest. And the arrest affidavit also says, according to the FBI, Kentrell is the known leader of a violent gang from the Louisiana area. Based on Kentrell's history, it's apparent that he is prone to violence. Based on the totality of the circumstances, a no bail hold is requested to be placed on Kentrell, pending a detainer to be obtained by federal prosecution for his current case. Basically, that means Youngboy ain't coming home no time soon because these charges are bad by themselves. Like, if you caught these charges by yourself with no other criminal history, it would be bad. But Youngboy is already on house arrest pending trial for the federal firearm charges, so it's not looking good for Youngboy right now.
New information tonight after singer and rapper NBA Youngboy faces dozens of charges.
As we have reported, Mark, that he was taken into custody in Cache County accused of organizing fraudulent drug prescriptions at Utah pharmacies, legally known as Kentrell Galden. He's been on house arrest in Utah since 2021. Ariel Harrison live tonight after speaking with one of those targeted businesses. Ariel.
Yeah, well, one pharmacist I spoke with said they thankfully didn't fulfill that order as they noticed some red flags. But unfortunately, others weren't so lucky. Now tonight, the young celebrity who already had a criminal history now faces more than 60 related charges to this alleged scheme. Pharmacy owner Eric Stewart says hearing news of an arrest in the fraud ring investigation involving his business was a relief.
I'm just happy that they were able to connect the dots.
Last September, Stewart says his team at Reed's Pharmacy in Hiram got a call from someone claiming to be a doctor needing to fill a prescription, something he called the first red flag.
Usually don't get a doctor calling in a cough syrup themselves. That'll be like a nurse or something. But then just their medical terminology was off, the quantities, the way they pronounce the things. Everything was suspicious.
Like Stewart's case, arrest documents reveal multiple other pharmacies across Utah were targeted too. According to investigators, callers linked to Youngboy would call in prescriptions using the name of a real doctor in Provo in some cases but giving fake patient information. Individuals would then pick up the order from pharmacies, mainly promethazine and codeine.
These type of medications they're trying to get are regulated, so throwing a chink in the I guess process can really disrupt potential opportunities to get the medication you actually need.
Weber County Sheriff's teams helped take Galden into custody with federal partners just yesterday.
We believe this to be several more months of work for us.
Efforts local business owners like Stewart appreciate.
But when it's on a bigger scale like this, it's more concerning, right? Because they're pretty persistent, and I mean, it's just a big disruption to us, and it's just a headache for us to have to deal with.
Now, the 24-year-old rapper is booked at the Cache County Jail, facing 63 different charges related to this, including having a dangerous weapon as a restricted person.
Now, if you ask me, Youngboy's been lucky up to this point. I mean, all the way back when he was first arrested, when he was a teenager, for all them attempted murders, up to these gun charges and only being put on house arrest and being able to have his trial delayed while he waits on the Supreme Court thing. He's been lucky so far, but it looks like his luck is running out. Honestly, when the government hits you with 63 charges like this, buddy, it's not looking good, especially when you was already pending trial. I don't think Youngboy is going to be getting out. They not going to give him bail because he was already on house arrest when all this went down. And yeah, bro, I mean, I just imagine it, like, imagine being a multi-millionaire. You got everything that you ever wanted. He's got like 25,000 kids out there that depend on him, and you kind of just take it all and throw it all away because you want to get high a little bit. Because honestly, I don't think Youngboy was doing this to get the prescriptions in order to sell them. I think he was doing this to get the prescriptions to take them. Like, we got to differentiate between a drug kingpin and a drug addict. You know what I mean? And clearly, Youngboy is an addict, and he was doing whatever he could to, you know, feed that addiction. And that's what led to all this. But as of right now, it's not looking good. That's basically the story of Youngboy. These charges that he got, what it all means, how it all came together. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, tap the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. As always, it's been fun rocking with y'all, man. I'm out.